Today is about you. We want to empower you. If we're going to be having that idea around upskilling in terms of leadership, this is one of the areas that you are going to be looking for. If we're going to begin to understand how we can help one another around our personal finance, that is for you. We're going to talk about the employee experience. Remember, in as much as it affects those around you, it affects you as well. So today is about you. We want to invest in you. And so we're so excited to have you here with us. For those who have joined, I can see probably over 20 people have joined since we began this. I began the talk. And so for those who have just joined us, good morning and welcome to the Centonomy HR breakfast. You are so welcome. So we've got a great lineup of speakers who are going to be coming to share their thoughts and insights with us. We've got Perminas Wainaina, who's the CEO of Corporate Staffing, and he is going to be sharing about the employee experience. We've got the wonderful Bishop Dr. David Originde, who's the founder of Catalyst Associates. He's in that area of leadership and thinking about how do we upskill our leadership skills. We've got Lucy Kisewa, who's the human resources director at Ola Energy, talking about the importance of personal finance in that area. And we've got our founder here at Centonomy, Waithaka Ndwati, who will also be talking about the financial wellness mindset as well as we go through that. In case we have never met before, and maybe you may not have noticed at the bottom of my small screen there, the name is Waithaka Gatumia, and I serve at Centonomy as CEO. And it is truly a pleasure to be working with you and with your teams within the organizations as we grow together around our personal finance, productivity, along the areas of motivation, because we are purposeful people. In fact, our mission here at Centonomy is to shift mindsets so that purposeful people can create wealth and live abundantly. And if you've noticed, and for those of you we've worked together before, we always focus on this because we have to begin to realize that it is in the mind that shift begins. And if we talk about purposeful people, we're talking about people like yourselves who show up on a day when people may be staying home and not doing too much in the hybrid working environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am coming to you for the skill set on how to navigate this new environment of hybrid work at home, work at the office, work when people are still on the move. It's something we are all learning together, right? But somebody who's purposeful has made a decision and they're deciding that we are going to spend time doing the things that matter to us. They set specific goals and they're working towards those goals. Purposeful people know the direction in which they're moving, just like you do. And at this time that you've given your time so early in the morning, this describes you as a purposeful person. And now, because you're purposeful, our mission at Centonomy is to aid you in the wealth creation journey, that you would build wealth. Because the wealth that you build will support the abundant life that you're looking for. And the abundant life is one that is holistic. It is a life that is guided by your personal goals and ambitions, the impact that you want to have in the world, not just for yourself, but also for those that are around you and the generations that are to come. This is the abundant life. What are the things that matter to you? Because we've recognized that money and wealth is not the same thing as the abundant life. However, money and wealth facilitate the abundant life. And so we must address that. We must begin to build the wealth that will allow us to live abundantly. Because you cannot function in this world effectively at least, without money and wealth. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. So as always, when you come into a Centonomy discussion, you come into one of our programs and you come into one of our events just like today, it's vital that you leave with some financial tips and tools that you can be able to use. So can I give you some 3 tips that we normally give wherever we go, because it's a great place to begin to think differently around our money. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what financial freedom and financial wellness means for your organizations as well. So some quick tips, if you don't mind, just real quick, you can write them down so that you can begin even right now, wherever you are within your teams and within your organization, to empower your team and tell them, hey, look at this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we learned today at Centonomy, and we can start implementing even before we come and start doing trainings with you. So quick tips. Tip number one, when it comes to your personal finance, aim for this, to pay yourself first. And when we say pay yourself first, please, it is not what people do on a Friday evening or on a Saturday when you go out. That's not what we mean. When we say pay yourself first, you can write this down underneath that. It means to save and invest first. What does that mean? That we're shifting the priorities of our personal finance to ensure that we save and invest before we pay everybody else. Because if you know this, ladies and gentlemen, if you pay everybody else, you pay the government, you pay the church, or whichever faith you come from, or whichever charitable giving that you're doing, you pay the landlord or the bank, then you pay the transport, then you pay for school fees, then you pay for utilities, then you pay for, what else do you pay for in life? Entertainment, then you pay for clothing, you pay for styling and make sure that you look good wherever you're going. Then you pay your relatives, you have to send money to your relatives. If you pay everybody else first, there's nothing left. So in our classes, because listen, this is adult education, ladies and gentlemen, and in adult, we recognize you are already managing money. So we're not here to come and tell you manage money. You already do it. You manage your money. In our classes and in the programs that we run at Centonomy, what we are attempting to do is to give you a different perspective that will help you to manage what you're already doing. And so that adjustment to say, instead of waiting to the end, because that's what we often do, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? We often sit there and we do our budgeting, we pay in fact, our priorities, we pay our rent or our mortgage, then we pay the government, then we pay the church, or we pay any of our religious, we pay our relatives, we pay for food, we pay for transport, we pay. When we do it that way, ladies and gentlemen, has your experience been like mine, where if you pay everybody else first, there's nothing left? So shift that. And so we make the priority the saving and investing. And I know many times people will ask, what percentage? How much should I save and invest? Write this down so you don't forget. It is goal-based investment, goal-based saving, because percentages simply don't work. Percentages are an easy way to train our children. Hey, but we are adults in the room. Percentages are an easy way to train our children to get into the habit of saving and investing. But for those of us who are sophisticated like you in the room, we now don't just save percentages, because your percentage and mine are completely different. Your goals and ambitions and mine are completely different. So we engage at the point of what? We engage at the point of goals. So write this down. You save and invest in line with your goals. So that if your goal is a big goal, and I know many of you have huge ambitions of the kind of house you want to live in, the kind of impact you want to have in your society and in your community, because you already have that massive goal, then the idea for you is to engage at that level. You save and invest according to your goals, and we'll assist you as far as that is concerned. So real quick tip, that was number one. Number two, write it down in case you've never done it. Track your spending. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make decisions if you do not have information. And the tracking of your spending gives you the information to empower you to make decisions. And without that power, I know, it seems like you're making real decisions, but the truth is, for most of us, we are not. And even for those who have a really good history of at least some knowledge of where you're going, it may not be total knowledge. It may not be the complete picture of what it is. I always give this as my personal example. When I started doing the Centonomy program and learning about the issues around wealth creation, we did this with my wife. This is now over 11 years ago. And we sat down and for 1 month, this is your challenge for 1 month, just track your expenses, write them down for 1 month. We wrote them down for 1 month and we came back afterwards and we were in shock because we were spending more on takeout food than our rent. I don't know if you caught that. I don't know if you heard me. We were spending more on takeout food, not just food, takeout by itself, than our rent. And the reason was we couldn't see the global picture. What it looked like was about 200 to 250 bob on lunch at the office when both of us were spending. So that's about 500 bob. 500 bob per day times 5, that's 2,500 Monday to Friday on takeout food. Then you would, on the weekend now you go out, isn't it? You go somewhere where you enjoy, and you would spend what, 3,000 bob maybe on Saturday if you go to a nice, a nice coffee house or something like that. And then you go out and you move further beyond that. On Sunday, you meet with your friends and relatives, and now you do another, 2,000-3,000 bob. We're spending maybe about, on average, 8,500 on takeout in a week. That's 34,000 shillings in a month. We couldn't see it. That time we were spending 28,000 shillings on rent. And so we'd meet at the end of the month and look at each other and wonder, where is the money to invest? Ladies and gentlemen, we were eating it. Now, I know maybe you've heard this before, but I want to challenge you. Take it upon yourself. For 1 month, just write it down. Don't judge yourself. Just keep a detailed record. If you'd like an expense tracker, we are happy to share that with you so that after 1 month, you can come back and make decisions on what that does. So we're not saying, please, I use this as an example because we're not saying don't eat out. Don't go and eat out. You see, because that's sometimes the thing that we hear. Remember, we're shifting mindsets. Sometimes when you hear an example like that, you hear, don't spend on yourself, don't enjoy yourself. No. All we're saying is when we became aware of it, we realized that it was not sustainable. Hey, my wife and I, we still go out, we still eat out, we still take our family out, but we have a better perspective on it for the decisions that we're making, because honestly, the truth of the matter is most of the times we were eating out, especially like that office lunch, for instance, was not a necessity. It was just, in our opinion, it was just simply we're being lazy. We didn't want to pack and carry lunch from home because we had sufficient food at home, and often even food would go bad in the fridge. That's number one. But not only that, we found another solution. You see, when you see the problem, you can make a decision. So when we saw the problem, we sat with our friends, and you can tell where we were seated with our friends, and you see how much we're spending on this table. And one of our friends just happened to mention, why don't you hire a chef to come and cook for you? Oh, how bougie, but when we did the calculation, we actually hired a guy called Japheth, and he came to cook for us. And it was cheaper to hire Japheth. We were offering employment, my brothers and sisters in HR, we were offering employment to somebody. It was cheaper for him to come and cook for us than the way we were eating out. And not only that, but we're eating more healthy and more sustainably. And we still had cash to go out on the weekend. When we hired Japheth, we ended up saving over 7,000 shillings from our takeout budget in a month. And that's just one item on our budget. I've only told you about takeout food. I've not even told you about the rest of our sins. So please believe me when I tell you this is a life-changing thing. For 1 month, just track. Just write it down. You'll be shocked. Great. Last point before we move on. Focus on assets. Now, this one is really important for us to begin to understand. Write this down so that in the most simplistic terms, so that it is a principle that we're going to build on. Just remember this: assets put money in your pocket. Now, there are other things that we own that I'd like to classify, and we do so at Centonomy as flosets. Or you can write down under flosets. Flosets make you look wealthy, they don't make you wealthy. Flosets are what we call consumption assets, consumption. They are for use. Like this chair that I'm sitting on, it has value. And I can put it on my balance sheet and show that my net worth has a chair that is worth 5,000 shillings. Good. But this chair only helps me to sit down. It doesn't put money in my pocket. So I need to have maybe a small tuck shop or an M-Pesa shop somewhere outside there that is paying me so that I can sit comfortably in this chair. I want you to think about the kind of assets that you own that put money in your pocket. Because unfortunately for many of us employees, a lot of the things that we purchase, and especially working with banks, because banks have great marketing, and banks say asset financing for your car, asset financing. And so what you understand is that my car is an asset. Yes, it has value and can be sold for value, but it actually takes money out of your pocket. If you take a loan to buy the car, you pay more for the car than it's worth. The car depreciates in value. You put fuel and insurance and everything into that car. So money is coming out of your pocket, and then it loses value over time. So in that transaction, I'm losing money. Now, I did say the car is a bad thing. The car is a good thing. And by the grace of God, I have a couple of cars outside here. They help me and they work with me. But I need to understand, they work for me, sorry. I need to understand that that car is taking money out of my pocket. And therefore, my goal as an employee is to make sure that I'm investing elsewhere so that those assets produce an income or a cash flow or a growth capital gain so that I can sufficiently drive my car. If I don't have sufficient assets that are putting money in my pocket, I'm not going to find financial freedom. And this is a kind of information that we want to build and help people along as far as their journey is concerned. So my friends, ladies and gentlemen, even as we go through this, well done for all who have joined in so far. We are getting quite well along. We're about to hear from all the various speakers who are with us. As I said, the tools of the trade, pen and paper next to you, and we'll be sharing notes for this, and we'll also obviously share the recording of the session afterwards in case there's anything that you may have missed along the way. So why pay attention to financial literacy? These are the kind of questions that you must be wondering about. Why is it that this is so important that we're going to be doing? We're going to be talking about this because financial literacy speaks about this idea of money, and you have to remember that money is a powerful motivator. It's a powerful motivator. And it's one of the main reasons that people work for different organizations, even you, and engage in the work that we're doing, because we know there's going to be money coming out of it. But we also have to remember that it is not the only motivator, but we have to address it, especially as those who are practitioners in HR. We have to also remember that poor money management builds frustration, and I'm sure you've seen it within your organization. Those who are earning, and you're wondering, you're earning a really good salary. So where's the stress? Where's the pressure? Where is the problem as far as this is coming from? You're earning a good salary. Where is the issue? And it's because if I can't manage it, it builds that frustration within the organization and within myself. I want you to remember this, ladies and gentlemen, that financial literacy is a win-win for every employer-employee relationship. Why is that? Because if the employee is well motivated, is less stressed, is building themselves up, then they're going to be more productive. And if they're more productive, that means it's a win for you as well as an organization. That is the attitude that we want to take. Financially literate employees are more likely to have better mental health. That means less stress. And you've seen it within your organizations. When somebody is overcome by debt, when somebody is overcome by lack of finances to deal with the issues that they're dealing with, you're going to find them definitely more stressed. They're going to be showing up late. They're missing time. They're working on other things. They're trying to find ways to fill in that gap. They'll be more focused and goal-oriented. So you see the activities within the organization shifting when people understand their personal finance, not just for themselves, but also for the organization as well. They are more productive. Here's the thing. It's not just improved motivation, but financial skills also help them to be more effective at their financial choices at the office. And there's scientific proof for this. We'll share this with you in notes. So don't worry about trying to read all that small text on the screen. Don't be worried about it. There's a study that was done in Mexico, especially on low-income earners, and they were just showing that providing financial education leads to improved productivity, especially among the low-skilled workers. That was that study that it showed there. Financial education can be a cost-effective way to improve worker productivity, and particularly in developing countries like we are here in Kenya and East Africa as a whole. The other study that was done in China showed that financial literacy showed a correlation to that growth in productivity as well. The author suggests that improving financial literacy could be an effective strategy for promoting economic growth. There was one also in Spain where it talked about workplace performance was improved with financial literacy. Why? Because somebody becomes goal-oriented. They can see the link between their work and productivity and the outcome that they're looking for. Ladies and gentlemen, as human beings, we are goal-oriented creatures. We are aiming, we move, our eyes face forward. And so if we don't have a goal that we're aiming for, it's very easy to become unmotivated over time. And last but not least, they did a study on financial literacy among the military in the US, and they showed that it also improved decision-making strategies at the office. So it builds their productivity, builds the return on the employee themselves, and then they're able to grow from that perspective. But I want you to recognize this, ladies and gentlemen, that more money often means more problems. And I can see from the team who are here, I can see as different members are joining in. Well done for all of you who've given your time this morning to join us in this room for the HR breakfast. Well done. I can see many of our dear friends who we've worked with before. Here's the truth about the matter. You cannot pay someone enough if they have unlimited goals. Somebody who does not know what their future holds and what they're aiming for, does not matter how much you pay them, it will not work out. And there's evidence in the companies that were represented here. When we work with the larger organizations, and thank you to all of you who we've worked with in the past, you recognize, isn't it, as practitioners, there are those who are earning minimum wage, and there are those who are senior executives, even in the C-suite, who are struggling with the same financial issues. One is earning hundreds of times the minimum wage, but because they have no control around their money, we have been called in to deal with senior executives and sit across from them so that they can get out of debt. You're wondering, somebody is earning over R1 million a month, and they are over R1 million a month, and they cannot be able to manage it because their lifestyle is greater than what they earn. You give somebody a pay raise and they're not satisfied. Why? Because there's no control. So simply increasing income does not bring the results that you're going to look for. So ladies and gentlemen, we want you to recognize that financial literacy is a rite of passage for every employee. And we want to support you and give you that help to bring on when you're onboarding your team members, especially when you think about like graduate trainees. These are people coming out of college, and we have got a lot of experience dealing with the youth and personal finance. And so we are able to leverage that knowledge to help you to get these people up and running as quickly as possible. But when we say onboarding, it's across the board. Wherever somebody is joining the organization, that cultural shift so that when they come on board, they're ready to manage their money well. That's where we want to help you out. Principles of financial management and investment. This is for everybody in every organization at every level, including your finance team. In fact, we have found that many times the finance teams struggle the most because they face and they look at the money. The temptation for fraud is really high in that area, kickbacks and all those things. Because if they can't manage their money and they're seeing all this money passing through their hands, it can be a serious issue. And we know this, isn't it? I think that's Waswahili wanasema mganga ajigangi, yes? It's the idea of those who know about money, sometimes it's difficult to apply those principles to themselves. Career growth and changes, we've seen it, and we've worked with organizations where they come and say, hey, listen to me, we've had some great financial success. We've got teams who are going to be significantly shifted as far as their income is concerned. We want to make sure that when they get this money, they don't go crazy, because it's possible when you get money to just go crazy. So why don't you come in and help them to understand what that shift means for them? And when financial shifts come, and you have the knowledge, you're able to apply it towards your goals specifically. And we're able to support you in that. We also support in transition training. So anyone who's going through retrenchment or any other kind of transition from one job to another, we assist in that, because that shift can sometimes be quite difficult for members of your team. And we applaud you as HR practitioners for giving your team the training that they need in difficult times. I know it's not easy, but for those of you who make that investment, we've seen the results of that even as we go forward. And finally, retirement training. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to recognize this, and this is for you, number one. Ladies and gentlemen, as employees, our primary concern as we are working through our career is to ensure that we are investing sufficiently out of our incomes to ensure that we have sufficient assets when we retire, so those assets can pay us to live the life that we want. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be clear about this. I want to be unequivocal. Your pension will not be enough. It will not be enough. And so you need to have the skill set right now to be investing sufficiently to supplement your pension. I know those who have government pension schemes, private pension schemes, even those that are supplementing their pensions, it will not be enough. We did some work with the Retirement Benefits Authority, and they said that for most of those who have a pension, first of all, there are many of us who don't even have a pension, but for those who have a pension, the pension often caters for about 30% of your needs when you retire. So where is the 70% coming from? Why do you think it is, ladies and gentlemen, that many of us in the room are sending money home to support our parents who are in retirement, and yet they're probably living in their own home and probably even living on a farm if they live up country? Why do they need your money? Because cash is a focus for retirement. And so you need to be building your cash reserves and your investments that generate cash so that when you retire, you do so comfortably. That's the aim. And so at Centonomy, we are your preferred partner to capacitate and inspire your team to greatness. We offer training for every level within your team and in every season that your team is going through. We want to walk with you. And that's what this HR breakfast is all about.